Hi, I'm Swan, and this is Black Like Vanilla, home for Black conversation outside the simulation. Welcome. My guest today is Weekend Coffee Guh of the Weekend Coffee Guh podcast. Join us as we discuss Coachella, Lizzo and Fat-shaming, grief kink, our natural hair journeys and why we embraced wigs, loving and appreciating black hair, Korean dominance over the black beauty supply industry, and Annie Malone, mentor to Madam C.J. Walker and one of the first black millionaires. Y'all ready to get uncomfortable? Let's go. But first, I have a disclaimer. I implore you to not take anything that you hear here or in general as Bible. Please do the research for yourself and fall into a rabbit hole and see what you find. Knowledge of self starts with you. All right, let's go. Okay, so I am here with my next guest. This is like one of my favorite people in the entire world. This is Jay. She is host of Weekend Coffee Guh. Not girl, Guh. Get it right, okay? It's the podcast for thought-provoking conversation over boozy coffee and stiff drinks. Thank you so much for joining me today, Jay.
For having me. Thank you for having me.
Yay, me and you must never part.
Never.
Well, just a little info. Jay is also my beautiful line sister. So I'm just so great to have her here to talk shit with me right now. So we're going to dive into some of the current events that have been taking place. I just got back from Coachella. I got my Coachella braids.
Good.
Hey, and then wait a minute.
Oh,
What's she gonna do?
got
What's she gonna do?
magical.
What's she finna do? What's she finna do?
Okay, come on then. Glow
We
for the
glowing.
people.
We glowing. They
I
wasn't
like it.
ready. They wasn't ready. But it was a good one. It was a good Coachella. Megan, oh my God.
I saw your post.
I am like, I mean, it says Swan, but I am officially
Right.
Meg's girl because as she was walking to VIP, she stopped right where I was sitting and said, "Watch out for my girl!" So I mean, like, obviously we're best friends, right?
Right. She was blessed. To be by you, to be your best friend. Let's not get it twisted.
Listen, we good girlfriends. Kiki all day,
Right.
all day. Have you been to Coachella?
I have. It's been a while. I normally go every other year, but I haven't gone in a few years. When I moved to Texas, I started doing more things locally. My family is from Louisiana, so Zulu Ball is a lot closer. So I've been going to Zulu every other year. Essence every other year. I don't have to go to Essence anymore anytime soon. I know this year is going to be a big year.
Absolutely.
I think I'm okay. But I do enjoy the festivals. I love, Zulu Ball is black pageantry at its finest. I love the dress up, all the regalia. So every other year. So next year is my Coachella year.
Oh, I cannot wait to be with you.
Yes.
On the grounds
right.
at Coachella. My group
I'm
normally do.
Oh, I want to roll around in the dirt.
Put up. My friends, we normally do. Weekend one. But I think that we finally aged out of weekend one and are going to start doing weekend two because it's just so many of the influencers and people that don't even know the artist. They're just there for the pictures. They don't even come to Coachella for Coachella. They come to Coachella for the parties. It's just weird to me,
Yeah. And we're music lovers, so we want to be in the mix of the music. We want that music to just take over our bodies and our souls and be free. I'm not going to be influenced to buy a product. I'm trying to roll around in the dirt. I'm trying to drink as responsibly and comfortably as I can in 11 million degree heat. Eat some good food and just have a good time.
And listen to good music. Find new artists that you never heard of before, and really vibe. I think it was 2018 or 2019. I got a chance to see Lizzo perform at Coachella, and I'm sure she's going to be back next year. She has to be probably on the big stage. And I mean, like, sis put on a performance, and not even just her, like her dancers too. They had me needing to get my life, like, and it's no shade to big girls at all, but the way they was moving, I'm like, I don't have no excuse. You know what I'm saying? Like, these women are giving so much life, and you could just see how inspiring Lizzo is to the crowd and just to herself too. So it's really funny seeing people like still in their feelings when she decides to literally show her ass. Like, when did we start the for real double standard? Like, you can only show your ass if you are a certain size. And then what size is that? And then if you are that certain size, it's only if you have ass. Like, what's happening here, dude?
You know what the biggest problem is? People talk too goddamn much. That's the problem. You get on social media and say all kind of foolish shit, but you never read your words out loud. When I saw the picture of Lizzo getting on a private plane with her thong on, all I wanted to do was, now how can I get my shit together? Because, baby, she's living. She is living. She's doing the work, and she's living.
Got her a fine man, too.
Right. And I'm pretty sure on a private jet, they clean the seats. So if she did it for pictures and she got on and put something else on for the flight, that's her business. And if she did not, that too is her business. I mean, the think pieces, the grandstanding, the self-righteousness, knock that shit off, because sometimes people, especially with the attire, and I always go, okay, let me see what you're wearing. But you covered up, but you look like you look terrible.
Yeah.
Just because you're covered up doesn't mean you look good. Yeah. So what conversation are we really having here? You just need somebody to pick on because you're not happy with yourself. And don't ever say that big girls don't get men, because they get men.
They're do.
Beautiful. They have the same thing to contribute as a smaller framed woman. They get men. They live good lives. They do their thing.
And I feel like that's like a really big part of why what Lizzo's doing is so important, because she's like breaking these stigmas that we have that are just so negative in how they relate to people who are considered overweight. Like, on one end, I understand health, right?
Right.
And like, health always comes first. So if your weight is causing you to be unhealthy, that is a problem. That being said, that's that person's problem. It's like kind of like trying to police someone over being gay, like, they're not in your bedroom. So you're not at their dinner table. You're not in their clothes. You're not in their life. Mind your fucking business.
Yep. I agree.
Yep.
I think a deeper part of the problem, this is like an onion with several layers. Shrek gave us that. He gave us that.
He did. He was dropping bars.
Bars. But when you peel the onion layers back, the biggest issue is, for years, dark skinned, heavier framed women have been the mammies. No sex appeal whatsoever. No one thought of them as sexy. They just thought of them as the help or the nurturer or some service.
Comic relief.
Huh?
Comic relief.
Comic relief. So now that you see a woman with a larger frame that's sexy and free, and you have so many of her talents on display, her singing ability, her writing ability, the fact that she plays musical instruments,
her flute playing.
Right. She plays the damn flute and twerks. baby, I can't get both of these arms together for the robot sometimes. And the girl is talented. So now you have to be able to push past that service person trope because her sexuality is on display. And then you see people that like her, and it's like, oh my God, how dare you like, a heavier framed woman? Some of y'all need to be honest with yourself and find out and really just assess, is this the reason why I have an issue with Lizzo? Because I wear all these clothes, I'm covered up, and this shit looks terrible. I don't know how to put this together the way she's putting it together. So I need to project onto her because I can't figure my own stuff out.
I think that you hit the nail on the head, like in regards to the projection, because I think that what people are really bothered by is seeing how free she is. Like how dare she not fall in line with the standards and all the rules that we follow and abide by? How dare she be happy in her, fatness and in her life and whatnot when you're supposed to want to be the way we are? Like I think they're really intimidated by seeing someone operate so freely, like and bitter too. Like, damn, I can't do that. You actually could if you mind your fucking business too,
Right. I agree. And that's the
extreme.
problem. Where we let everyone else project standards onto us instead of stating what our standards are for ourselves.
Exactly. And then holding ourselves accountable. And, if we hold ourselves accountable, that will pass forward into how we interact with other people, how other people interact with us. Because again, it all starts with minding your business. And the thing for me, the one thing that I felt was the overlooked in the whole recent Lizzo debacle on the plane was not that she had on a thong, it was those goddamn leggings. Those should have been fishnet, they should have been lace or something. She had like full material going up. That was the true crime. That was the only crime that I saw was the goddamn leggings. I'm just saying, me, I'll just
right.
Like, what is that?
Right. Because when I show out, I show all the way out. Y'all gonna get
Show
all this
all the way out.
Right.
So don't stop there, baby. Go all the way.
Go all the way.
What are we doing? Well, thank you for hopping on that because them folks were getting on my nerves, your cousins.
And it took everything in me not to get on, someone's post and just light their asses up. It took, I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress.
Well, see, that's why, like, I'm happy that I'm not on social media like that anymore. Like, as soon as I could quit Instagram, I will. But like Facebook and stuff, because you see people
Facebook
posting
is toxicity.
It's so toxic, and so like I'll see certain news stories, and a part of me is like, I know Facebook is like lighting up right now. And the petty part of me just wants to watch, but then the same part of me that respects my peace is like, yeah, nah, I'm good. But I wanted to know what the Facebook streets were talking about in regards to the case in South Carolina. The guy Richard Bernard Moore, who was sentenced to death, and in South Carolina they only have either the electric chair or firing squad, which is crazy to even like capital punishment. That's a whole nother bag. Let's stick a pin in that one real quick. But the fact that those are like the only two options. So the guy more selected firing squad, but him and his lawyer and another person that's on death row in South Carolina too are appealing because they're saying that those types of ways to kill them are inhumane. And it's just like a trip to me to see a Christian nation
still upholding like killing people. And I get certain crimes you want to kill people, but that's somebody's like job. Somebody's hired to take life, and that shit is just weird. But
Yes.
what them streets are the streets
You know
even
what?
talking about it?
The streets are not talking about it as much. It's NBA playoff season. That's one.
Priorities.
Right. Priorities are different. So it's NBA playoff season. They're still sharing memes of what would you do if you caught your spouse sleeping with. I read one this morning. It was so stupid. A man and a woman were having sex. They are cheating on their spouses. Her crown falls out and falls into his mouth. And he says, I'm going to have to defecate it out. And she's like, no, give me $1,000 for a new crown. Somebody really typed this. And folks are debating it.
Debating.
I'm like, what? And you guys are industry leaders, subject matter experts. I get we all need to have that break from sanity. And they're also talking about, I don't remember which police department and state, where the 6-year-old kid was handcuffed.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about, well, he should have, now, wait a minute. The little kid should have done what?
I can't stand your
I think he stole something.
Yeah,
he stole a bag of shit. Right. Yeah. So when a Black person is killed by law enforcement, you're able to split the reason? Is that what I'm hearing? A 6-year-old child needed to be handcuffed and hogtied?
Need a lesson learned.
You couldn't just call his mama? There was no other conflict resolution tools available. Are you guys all right?
And then justified it on, we just taking them home.
Right. Well, he shouldn't have stole anything. Well, children at that age are in a learning period. It's a trial period. And there's opportunity to teach them things, the difference between right and wrong. But what you taught him is his body will be violated for the smallest infraction.
It has to be perfect at all times.
It ain't enough. I swear to God.
So how do you feel about capital punishment in America in general, and the situation that's going on in South Carolina?
For me, it's really sad that we have capital punishment. Now, I'm with you. There are some crimes that just unexplainable, unexcusable, rape, those types of crimes where there is true, confirmed harm, death inflicted upon someone else. I'm all for punishing them, but I feel as though we need to have a proper justice system. The mere fact that this man said, hey, I'd rather be executed by a firing squad versus electrocution or lethal, I think it was lethal injection.
They can't even do lethal injection because they don't even have the
chemicals. It's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy. And South Carolina is one of those places, very beautiful country, but you have these bass-ackwards politicians in the state, the Lindsey Grahams, the Tim Scotts, that have their grandstanding. They are not in it for the people. There is a better way to punish people for the crimes that you verified that they've actually committed. Smaller crimes, I tell you my opinion, for very small minor crimes where no one is hurt. Restitution. That'll make you think twice. It will make you think twice.
That part.
If you get a damn wage garnishment for a small infraction, you think it's this Friday, it's payday, you got some extra money and that wage garnishment hits you, you feel that shit in your chest.
Like, hold up.
But I'm not a fan of capital punishment. I remember our state when Tukey Williams was executed.
Man.
It was one of the lowest times in our state,
That was a sad day.
It was very sad. It was not necessary. I'm not a fan of capital punishment. I am a fan of applying the proper punishments to crimes, verified crimes. And I keep saying it that way because we know, our law enforcement agencies across the country, some are rooted in nefarious behavior. And that trickles down from, from the top all the way to the streets and how they process things and take it back up. So
well, that was what the issue was with Moore, because he was like, the crime is the crime. He committed murder of a convenience store clerk. But as far as being sentenced to death for that, he's arguing that punishment doesn't fit the crime, considering that there are people that have done worse or killed more people who are still alive. And it just really, like, in 2022, not only do we still have capital punishment, but we also still have firing squad. Like, I mean, how do you even recruit for that position? You know what I'm saying? Because and I know that this is something that is kind of, we don't have to dig into this, but in regards to, like, 18-year-olds are recruited to go to the army and or to the armed forces. And a part of that responsibility is possibly having to kill in the name of this country. But they're actually, like, not recruited for that, but that's something that is a given. But to, like, have an 18-year-old get hired to work at a prison, and then, how do you work your way up? What's the direct line to becoming an executioner? How do you even get mentally prepared for being the one that has to take someone's life? And then, even so, to be the one that would have to do it with a gun? Like, how many shots do you take? Like, I remember it from cartoons and stuff, the firing squad, it's like 8, 9 of them pointing their gun at one person. So do they do a headshot, a heart shot? How is that? I mean, like, it's crazy weird that would even be something in 2022 that's on the table.
And with all the other things, I know, with all the other things going on, when I read the article about this gentleman, one of the things that stood out was, it's been a few years since South Carolina has executed someone. And there were people that, and to his point, had committed more egregious crimes than he did. And they were not on death row. And it's just really, I mean, it's not, it doesn't feel good. I mean, again, remember how we felt in California when Tukey Williams was executed. You just had this somber wave going across the entire state, because you don't really know if that person was ever reformed. And how can you really reform in a situation where they have so little effective rehabilitative tools? Very few effective tools. And as far as being recruited for it, there's a lot of psych batteries and different things that go on for it. You have to be of a certain mindset to be the one to pull that trigger or inject those chemicals or place that hat on and belt someone to a chair. You have to be of a certain mindset. And typically, you have to be of the mindset where you care very little for humanity. So then that makes me wonder, how are you taking care of the people who are incarcerated that are supposed to be reforming? Do you have effective rehabilitative tools? But you have a core that's evil. I help me.
Yeah,
help
the two can't coexist at the same time. It's like they cancel each other out, which is why it's just so funny when America gets in its bag about, morals and all that type of stuff, where, again, being a Christian nation, and yet, like, I don't quote me, because I don't know the man. He was just resurrected 3-4 days ago, but I would think that Jesus would not be okay with the death penalty. And I would question the sincerity of any Christian that would tell me that they would. that he would be. And if he would be, then what is Christ like?
You know
Tell me.
what's really weird about being a Christian nation is folks are, especially on the pro-life side, this
Hmm.
is pro-life. It should
Hmm.
be pro-life cycle
It
from
should be,
cradle
exactly.
to the grave. That's
Yeah.
the part that's really weird for me, and I think that's how, Christianity was woven into slavery,
Hmm.
because you cherry pick so much with Christianity
Yep.
sometimes. What is justifiable to you and what's right to you is wrong to the next person. And a
Hmm.
lot of stuff, is really not in the Bible the way that folks like to, your denomination speaks of certain things, And I always wonder, I thought y'all were, I consider myself a Christian, but I'm pro
Hmm.
life cycle from cradle to the grave. And that
Hmm.
means you have the right, for me, in your life to make decisions for your body without input or coercion or fear from me, and everything else in between. People shouldn't be hungry. We should have a universal basic income. You
Hmm.
shouldn't be saying, well, they're just going to spend their money on drugs. No, I got to get some bread, some milk. If I got $10 left and I want to buy me a half pint of brandy, I think I deserve that. I think that's quite okay.
Right. Or let me police your
Right. But you over here with
purchases.
the child porn subscription, and you crying over me buying
Exactly.
a pint of brandy. First of all, if I'm drinking
Exactly.
brandy, I got a problem. Because don't nobody drink no E&J or Paul Masson. But if I am, that I'm just trying to center myself.
I'm trying to survive.
I'm trying to survive.
Like, I wouldn't be doing that just for my health. Clearly, it's not for my health.
It's in my price range. I need me a quick drink.
No, it's
Here
like
we are.
true insincerity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to hear people justify capital punishment,
Mm-hmm.
just period, you know. And I think it does go back to what you said initially about our justice system, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like our justice system is just so messed up that institutions such as capital punishment could not only exist, but like still be advocated for, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like I learned, I want to say maybe a year or two ago, about the last public execution
Mm-hmm.
in the United States. It was in 1936. A black man. His
Mm-hmm.
name was Rainy Betha,
Okay.
and he was accused of rape of a white
Mm-hmm.
woman, which meant that he had to die.
Mm-hmm.
He did deny the rape to his deathbed. Like, he initially confessed, but it was a forced confession
Right.
that he took back. I'm not going to get into whether or not he did it or not. All I know is that the fact is that a black man was the last public execution. Of course, he was hung.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, you know, thousands of people on the street to watch this man die. And in seeing that, it made me think about just how, like, American it is to not only like watch death, but to celebrate it, you know, like that gladiator type shit. And from back when lynching to now, like a viewing room for capital punishment, that shit is just weird.
Yep. And we have always had public executions. Folks would go to church, amen. They would go in their Sunday best
Mhm.
to the hanging spot. They take
Mhm.
pictures, they feed our ancestors to alligators, and they
Mhm.
enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it.
They enjoyed it. So that's why it's so easy for them to discard our humanity.
Mhm.
And they have been doing it and continue to do it. And this is a part of who America is. And if you
It.
think you just don't you don't want to hear the uncomfortable truth, but
Mhm.
this is really who America is
Yep. Like at its core, at
at
its
its core.
fundamental core, that is who this country is. So it's like, it's not surprising when we fall into the same tropes, because America's gonna be what it's always been. It's always been that bitch. You know what I'm saying?
And baby, once a quarter, this hoe gonna show her ass.
Every
Once a
time.
quarter, America shows her ass. It's a whole my beer per quarter kind of country. And it's going to
Always.
stay that way because you have these elders running the country who have more days behind them than they do ahead, making laws, policies, holding seats of power for their own personal gain.
Mm-hmm.
You can never, I mean, Nancy Pelosi can't be an effective lawmaker. She was born in Jim Crow. She's going to cherry pick just like anyone else of her same demographic.
Exactly. Like, you had to, I mean, I'm not saying she had to have the word nigger removed from her vocabulary, but she's absolutely of the generation where they had to be told that you can't say that anymore. Either with her mama, her sister, her auntie, put them in her, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know, but
Right.
it's telling of that generation who are still in power, who aren't doing anything to make this country not be what it is, because they benefit the most from it, like, even for public executions. I mean, technically we still have them because Black lives are allowed to not only be executed with impunity, but then replayed over and over and over. And like, I feel like now that's like the 21st century version of that Sunday afternoon lynching that the family goes to, because it's like, now we could just go on our TV, we could go on our phone, and we could watch Black bodies being mutilated on replay.
Yep. And we have, with social media, we have the ability to expand our message of hate. So when someone posts a picture or shares a story about someone who was executed by law enforcement, and you have the comments, well, they should have complied, or this wouldn't have happened to my son, or, and the one thing I hate the most about that is, as soon as it happens, you have a camera in someone's face as they're grieving. It's like you have a grief kink that you want to share with everybody. And it's so weird. And this story, as it picks up and they decide, when he is going to be executed, it is going to pick up, and it's going to, be a conversation that folks have.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people are going to be saying some of the dumbest things that you can. I mean, sometimes you just say stuff and not even think out loud about how it sounds.
Yeah. Like, did you hear you?
But we should have been got rid of capital punishment across the country, but too many people benefit from it.
Yeah, because then that would mean prison reform. And then prison reform, exactly. The prison industrial complex, folks are making way too much money on having bodies incarcerated. And then they make even more money from having people on death row, and all the legal fees and all that type of stuff. It's just it's like legal welfare, and no one wins. The families of victims, don't win. And then, because I'm a true crime junkie, I absolutely, and it's terrible. I love the murdery serial killer stuff, even though I know that they're real people attached to that. And I sympathize with their families, but when I'm watching them, it's almost like doing a favor by putting someone to death. You know what I'm saying? Like, they aren't, they get to get out. They get to get out. They don't have to deal with the pain or the guilt or anything like that. So for me, I just don't even understand the justification on allowing someone to have a shortcut. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be different ways for that type of punishment to be inflicted upon people who do really, 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 really bad things. But I think if prisons were specific for those types of people, then the world would act now. This country could be a better place, because that means that we're actually focusing on reform of those who need it, who find themselves in prison for like theft or, petty crimes and shit like that, We got some work to do.
I don't think we're gonna do it. Watch me. America shows its ass once a quarter. It's a hold my beer a quarter kind of country.
Speaking of outdated legal institutions, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, she was just confirmed to the Supreme Court. She's going to be sworn in this summer. What are your thoughts on her journey to the nation's highest court?
I'm glad that she was confirmed. It was very difficult to watch. It was triggering for a lot of us, especially if you know that you are the subject matter expert, you have the leadership abilities, and your leadership motivates other people. And to be berated and ask questions that you know don't fucking matter because you got me under a microscope is unfair. It's unfair, but this country is built on that. Because we all have been in a situation at work where we've had to do that fake smile to compress the frustration or compress the fact that I want to reach across this table and knock tooth number 14 and tooth number 29 out your mouth. Just those two. If I knock those two out, I'm good.
We good.
We good. I can get on with my day. And it's a tactic that people use, and they know it works. They know it works because they go with it all the time.
Well, it's insane to me that like people still buy into that, like they still buy into that type of I don't know, practice, because it's like all of it's funny because even hearing like white liberals talk about the confirmation and how she's being treated and all that stuff, I don't think that they can see how that applies to Black women in their current workspace. Like they see and understand Ketanji's situation, but they'll go to work and not see that their Black coworker is experiencing the same thing, sometimes through them, like I've had coworkers in the most liberal spaces, which always, again, I probably gonna say this like every episode, but Malcolm was talking about the white liberals being foxes and the conservatives being wolves. You know what you're going to get with the wolf, but a fox will smile in your face and then snatch your ass. And so then white liberals, bless their heart, they think that they're doing something great, but then they'll be so passive at work and you can't really say what you want to say. Like I had a supervisor say to me, when when the whole DEI, diversity and inclusion, equity inclusion group started coming about after George Floyd, every job wanted to add a DEI person that kind of did nothing, but at least said that they had one. And so our office had to appoint a DEI person. My supervisor's white woman, my age, and she says to our group, somebody had asked who the DEI person was, and she was like, well, it was I was supposed to do it, but apparently I'm too white. And I'm sitting there on the call like, bro, you don't even see how that's not funny. And as my supervisor, I can't say anything to you about it. Or she was going to Africa for her honeymoon, and her and the other white people in my group were talking about the safaris and, this, that, and the third, the animals and whatnot. And I'm sitting there like, y'all know that like Africa has people and culture, and all you're talking about is going to go see the animals. But if I even try to relay that to you, we're clearly going to get in an argument. So I just got to sit there and fucking eat it.
Yeah. And we have all been in that space. And guess what? We're probably all going to be in that space again. but we've gotten very clever at hiding our emotions. Some of us, some people will just snap and go off. And I think that's a part of the great resignation that a lot of folks have not talked about. Is if you have experienced so many of those thinly veiled racist remarks or the passive aggressive behavior or the beratement, that's a part of it. That's a part of it.
And it just makes me think of that additional stress that comes into just being Black at work, where, you aren't the only Black person, but you are the only Black person, or you have to like kind of be careful how you move around each other, because we've been so conditioned into believing that there can only be one of us in these spaces that will step on each other when we're trying to pick someone up. So like if there's a new Black person comes into my group, I'm immediately trying to get to know them and see where their head is at. But sometimes I know that they're not ready for my type of Blackness. They're not there. But now I know I don't even have like Black allies in my space, because it's like there's allies and then there's Black allies, and then you have like Black enemies. And it sucks because you don't know, even if you're in spaces with Black people, you still sometimes feel like you're not in a safe space in workspaces. And so, I'm interested in seeing how that's going to work for Ketanji when she Judge Jackson Brown. I'm gonna respect her, Supreme Court Justice Brown. I'm very interested in seeing how that dynamic works for her, because she is still, to be a Black woman in that space. Look, she better hide from Clarence Thomas. That's all I know, because he probably still got them hands.
Yeah, Anita told us.
But it's nice to at least see a justice with braids, that got a hair braider.
Right. She gotta go get her locks retwisted.
Right. Yeah. Are they locks or is it braids? I couldn't tell. Okay. Yeah, they're beautiful. Like it's nice to see those reflections in us, the different type of Black women. Because even though them being a part of the system, and by them I mean Kamala and Ketanji, but they're two different types of Black women, but we get to see that we're not the same, like there are different types of way to Black women. And I at least I appreciate that much, even if I'm not like thrilled about the jobs that the other one's doing, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I hear you.
Before Madam C.J. Walker, there was Annie Malone. In fact, if it weren't for Annie Malone, there might not be a Madam C.J. Walker. Annie Malone is founder and developer of a robust commercial and educational cosmetic enterprise for Black women. Malone had a background in chemistry. She used that and her love for her Black hair to develop her own hair care products. Malone developed her own line of non-damaging hair straighteners, oils, and hair stimulants. Annie started her business by selling door to door. Her business was so successful, she opened her first store in 1902, and she recruited Black women across the country to sell her hair products. One of those women was Sarah Breedlove Davis, better known as Madam C.J. Walker. Though their relationship soured, both women found success in the Black hair care industry. Malone went on to patent a hot comb for Black hair and began copywriting her products under Poro. Malone purchased a facility in St. Louis to manufacture her products, sell in-store, and open the first center dedicated to the study and teaching of Black cosmetology, Poro College. Poro College employed over 200 people. Through the college and direct sales, Malone employed over 75,000 people worldwide. Malone was a multimillionaire by 1920. She donated her money to organizations and schools that supported the Black population. Pearl and Malone withstood a nasty divorce and the Great Depression. But by 1957, when Malone died, her estate was only worth $100,000. Never forget Annie Malone, a pioneer in the black hair care industry.
All right, so I'm still here with Jay from the Weekend Coffee Guh podcast. Yes. And we are going to dig into the conversation at hand. The topic or the title is The Confession of a Former Natural Hair Purist. And I am she and she is I, the reformed. I used to be a natural hair bougie. And actually just even a little bit of history before that, I always had my hair pressed like through high school. I was the one that if I was taking a picture somewhere, I needed to make sure my hair was straight. I didn't really like how I looked with natural hair. And then I want to say somewhere in between college and like adulthood, I guess, I started embracing the curls and started liking my curls. And that was at the aging myself. But this was probably around like 2007, 2008, when like the curly hair, natural hair movement like really started taking over, and there was the mixed chicks and kinky hair and Carol's daughter and all of the different hair products for Black women to use to kind of get the natural look. But it kind of sold this false idea because, you know, everybody's hair texture is different. So you would look at these people that were using these products and looking at their hair, and it's like, oh, I want those curls. What can I use? And you know, you're going through all these products and all this money, not realizing that genetics is a part of the reason why your hair looks the way it is. But I used to think that I'll be honest, I used to think I was better than people that wore fake hair, because it's like, well, I don't need to wear fake hair, and you know, I'm pretty without fake hair, and you know, I should get chose because your bitch wear a weave and she bald head, but you know, look at my hair, you know, how you gonna pick that over me? You know what I'm saying? Even with like makeup too. And it wasn't until it's funny, I don't care, I'll admit it, I read this book called Hoe Tactics. And
who wrote that book?
It's, I can't remember his name. I was hoping I had it here, but it's downstairs. I'm not gonna scream. Oh, actually, bang, there it is. Just found it. So bang, Hoe Tactics.
Okay.
It's by G.L. Lambert. Now, it says GL, so I was thinking maybe it was like written by a woman, but of course it's written by a man telling women whatever. And I was already like, ugh. But in listening to it, it just helped me see that I could step my game up a little bit, and that I was cutting off my nose to spite my face in order to make a point of being natural. And so I started with my first, and actually I hit you up because I was like, I think I'm ready because you've been in this wig game for a minute. And it was so funny because when we first met, that's what you said. You were like, look, so I'm letting you know now that I wear a bunch of different wigs, so don't get used to this. I'm giving you guys a heads up so that you're not shocked. And you were not playing games with that. And so just seeing you and how comfortable you are with it, and how, you know, you beat, you know, like you serving looks, and you could get you one that could do both. And so that helped me kind of get outside of my ego, like of what I'm trying to prove by being natural, and just step in. So I think my first wig was the headband wig. And I was like, oh,
yes, indeed.
Oh, yes, because I wanted to get out of my hair anyway. Because, you know, I mean, I realize now why women who, when they turn 40, want to shave off all their hair, because you're tired of doing it. You're just over it. You've been having to deal with hair for 40 years. And so now I'm like, well, now I won't shave it off, but at least I'll pop a wig on. This is a wig. You know, if you're too close up, you might see the little snap there, but I don't care, because you know what? I know what I have, and I'm confident in it, and I'm okay with that. But it took a process for me to get there. For you, How was that journey? Were you ever like a natural hair bougie? Did you go through that? How did you break free of that? How did you find comfort and confidence in just owning, your look, whatever that might be?
So probably maybe about 2008, 9, not quite sure. I spent 20 years in the military.
Mhm.
One of my closest friends, who I'm still very much friends with, she's Muslim,
Mhm.
and she married a Jamaican man, and they had 2 kids. And she had some autoimmune issues, so she changed her diet. And one of the things about her that I've always loved, now you and I are both from LA, and she's from LA too. She'll let you know, I'm a rolling 60s kind of girl. LA. And she's a rolling 60s kind of girl, but she's very true to, the way she was raised.
Mhm.
So when she had her daughter, she wanted to take very good care of her daughter's hair. So she was using coconut oil and braiding it and not putting a lot of stress and products and stuff on it. So her daughter, maybe she was 4 at the time, had like waist length hair with the prettiest curl pattern I'd ever seen. And I was like, you know what? I want to go natural too. Now, at the same time, in years prior, I also wanted to lock my hair.
Mhm.
And I couldn't understand, nor was I around anyone who knew better, that you could lock your hair from any length. You're going to have some shrinkage there,
Mhm.
and your hair has to be, very natural in order
Mhm.
for it to set. I didn't know that. I thought you had to cut it all off and, start there. And
Mhm.
I did not want to start there because of the way I grew up.
Mhm.
I didn't want to be, the dark skinned girl
The short
with
hair,
short hair,
the
because
short little fro.
I've always had long hair. People have always loved my hair. I had a lot of hair as a kid, a lot of hair as
Right.
an adult, but I wanted to cut it off because I started to, see all these different styles, and then it grew back. I grew all of it back, and I wanted locks so bad. And I was like, okay, this is going to be my gateway drug into the locks,
Mhm.
right? I'm going to go natural.
Mhm.
And I just started washing my hair and just putting it in a ponytail and putting a wig on. I finally said, I'm going to wear a wig. And I started to wear different wigs and trying stuff out, not really educating myself on the different types of wigs, just knowing that when they started to look like a rat's nest, it was time for it to go. I wasn't interested in maintenance. I was just like, okay. And I swear I have a wig kink. So I was like, okay, let me see these wigs. I would break out, and the Hood Beauty Supplies have the best damn wigs.
They do.
So I would go and I find all these different wigs, and I recognized that there were certain styles that I liked. I
Mhm.
wanted long, straight, or long and curly, big, robust, really,
Mhm.
really pretty curls. But then I still had a head full of hair. So then I went into this natural journey, still not ready for locks.
Mhm.
And I would do the twist outs and the braid out, but I didn't have the same dedication that other people had. Remember that night you pressed my hair and you were like, Jay, now, you you my man, 50 grand, but you gotta cut this shit off. Because you done fucked your hair all the way up.
It's not gonna
That's
work. It's
why
not. It's not giving what you think
it's
it's
right.
giving.
But that's why we go together, because I was like, okay, I got some hang time. And you was like, yeah, split in hang time. But I'm gonna press it out for you so you
Oh
can
my
walk
god, I
into this
forgot about
yourself.
that.
But I was reckless with the whole natural hair process in the beginning. I thought it was easy, a piece of cake. And then as I went on, I saw that there were regimens and there was texturism and all these. And I'm like, God damn, this shit is time consuming.
It
It's
is
time consuming. The products
expensive.
are expensive. And sometimes you don't know what that twist out is going to give you. It's a surprise in the morning. So you might have to keep a damn wig on hand.
Mhm.
But I still persevered, because what I did not miss was sitting in the salon chair, wasting my time. I didn't miss that. So I went on with this journey, I put my hair in a ponytail a couple of times and cut it off. I at this point, I'm just going to wear wigs, right? And I just kind of kept going. My daughter, her hair is very natural too. I've never permed it. She's had it pressed, yes, but not in the last 5 years. And when I realized that so many chemicals and the way that hair has a hold on folks, I was like, yeah, I don't ever want to be like that. Like I got to get this perm, girl. Baby, you don't see the detriment of having a perm and being regimented to this perm the way you are. You got to get your hair done before you take care of your health. That's scary to me. So I'm not really committed to it the way other people have been. If I were, I'd have hair down my back. So last year, and remember, maybe just the pandemic was the first time I had my hair braided since I was 12, and my daughter braided my hair. And remember, she was like, "Oh God, you wanted to pop me with the comb."
You gave her fits.
You gave her fits. Oh my God, you're not done. How many braids left? I'm not the big hair. I want to look good.
You don't want
but I don't give a damn whose hair it is.
Yeah.
So last year, the last set of braids, I went to African braiders, and 3 ladies braided my hair in 2 hours. It was beautiful. And they were very small, and I was like, damn, I gotta take these things out. And I was like, no, I don't. I got the scissors and cut them braids out of my head and went on with my business. And I went to a barber. He gave me the Norbit. I had the whole Norbit afro. And I was like, I have a really nice grade of hair. Let's put some mousse and some gel and try some things out. And I do experiment with it a lot, but I enjoy the different looks of wigs. And that's where I am. I'm going to be 45 in July. You know, I let you know, baby, this is a wig. It's going to come off. Do you love me enough to hold this wig? Can I be with you with my wig braids?
Can I answer that? The answer is yes, because when I knew you was a real one was when we were driving back from the where was that, Temecula. Temecula from wine tasting, and you were driving that car, and you was driving too, and you just you said, I'm about to snatch this wig off, and you were not playing. Snatched that wig right off, and I could see it was almost like taking your bra off.
Yes,
when you snatched that wig off, and there was no wig cap and everything. I'm like crying, laughing in the back seat, like my girl Jay don't give a fuck, and I'm here for it.
Nope. I love a good wig, and like I said, I cut my hair off last year. I have experimented with my little Norbit afro and styling it a number of ways. But what has gotten me that I wasn't ready for is that I'm gray up here now. And I'm like, ooh, this gray is nice. Now, if it come in and I get a little patch, I'm going to look like a silver fox. That's crazy to even think in that regard. But that's the beauty of being in charge of your own look and being comfortable in your skin. And that's what I love about the wig community right now. These girls, the way they put these wigs on and the way my daughter wears wigs, right? And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to let my teenager wear wigs. Well, I've raised my child to have her own opinion and to be very comfortable in her skin. So she was like, Mom, I'm wearing a wig. And she's okay with it.
Yeah.
But I love the wig community because these girls are free. They're free to change their hairstyles. They're free to try different colors. And there's still some of us that are stuck on, well, no, I can't do nothing to my hair because I can't work out. I got to worry about my edges. But your blood pressure is through the roof, ma'am. It's okay to go work out.
It's okay to get that hair wet or that hair sweat, you know?
Right.
It's like when we're restricting ourselves, and that goes, it's like both ways. Like for my instance, I wasn't, jeopardizing my health from my hair, but I was definitely jeopardizing, what my full potential, I would say, like not going for that. But absolutely, if you are like picking between your hair and health, then you really have to like re-examine your relationship with your hair. And it is not easy, like Black women and our hair. I feel like that's going to be something that we're going to be dealing with until there are no more Black women. And my hope is that that we can see kind of what you said, to piggyback on what you said earlier, as far as like you like different hairstyles and things that you can do differently with your hair. Black hair is a medium, like no other race outside of people who are either Black African or descendants of the diaspora have a special hair. Like we can create art with our hair, with our hair, like the actual hair that, a flat top. White people can't give themselves a flat top. The fact that Black people could give themselves volume with our hair, we can shape it, we can mold it. It's actually one of the most beautiful things for us to have, but there's just so much conditioning in how we love our hair or hate our hair, even using good hair still, or nappy. I feel like nappy is kind of like nigga, in that there's certain people who don't want to say it. They feel like it has a negative connotation. There's other people that are Black that, they thrive in it. There are businesses that have nappy in it, but let somebody outside of a Black person say nappy and we scrapping because it's fighting words. But I feel like nappy has turned into that type of thing where you have to even be careful with how and who you say nappy to, and how the negative connotations with that. And it's like another thing that Black women have to carry on their back that other people who aren't Black just don't get it. And even men don't get it.
Right. Yeah. And we our hair is an extension of our beauty. It's an adjunction. Right? You're still beautiful no matter how you wear your hair. But it is, like you said, a work of art. It's something to behold. But you also have to be a whole person and accept your beauty and the work of art that you are, in addition to your hair. And I think that's where we struggle. And our hair has been used to weaponize against us.
Yes.
Think of Don Imus before he died.
The nappy-headed hoes.
Right, the Rutgers basketball team. He called them nappy-headed hoes, and people are laughing along with it, and it's not okay. But we've used that because we use the term good hair as a way of saying that this person is better. And when we throw the skin color thing in there, oh, baby, you didn't hit the trifecta at that point. And people feel less than because they don't have these characteristics that are desired. But there is beauty in our hair. I know some people who are, several shades darker than you and I, with the most beautiful, fine, crisp, ring-like, curly hair that I've ever seen. I've never seen it on any other person. But again, when you use things to weaponize against people, you always got to fight that battle internally. And that's what I had to do. I had to say, you know what? I'm not ready for locks. I'm still, even today at 44, I'm still afraid of, if I start with starter locks and how I'm going to look. But I could do wigs. I could start, get my starter locks and do some wigs. Right. But I think I've outgrown that. But I am being honest about my struggle with that. So now I just want to grow the hair out. I'm more interested in how much gray I'm going to get and how good I'm going to look with this.
Hello.
I done got this body together. Got my quarantine weight off. And now
I'm almost
trying
there.
to see what I'm going to do, and it's okay to go on a hair journey, but when it consumes you and you use it as a way of measuring your self-esteem, that's the problem. But look,
it got me thinking too, how Black women specifically kind of lost our edge in the Black hair market, like we're getting it back, thank goodness. But like, how did Asians come up on our hair like they did across the
Mhm.
country, you know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's
there's a
wild.
story behind it. So in the 1950s, there was a Korean wig maker,
Mhm,
and they were doing very well exporting wigs across, the world. And of course,
mhm.
let me just caveat this. Black women grow hair. We love wigs and weaves and extensions and pieces because we like the versatility. And
Yeah.
even in the 50s, we were wearing hair pieces and wigs and all of those things. So during that time, it was $100 million industry. Well, Koreans got together, 4 Korean men in particular got together.
Mhm.
They petitioned their own government and said, hey, let not import any hair to make our wigs. All of the products must come from Korea. They're Korean products. We ship them
Mhm.
out across the country.
Mhm.
4 men got together and petitioned the government, and their government banned the import of other hair so that Koreans would have the market cornered. And then 6 months later, the United
Wow.
States banned Chinese um, wigs and hair pieces from China. So they cornered the market because they worked together as a group. They went directly to
Mm,
their government. The government
mhm,
listened to them, and I'm sure
mhm,
they presented a proposal that was out of this world. And
mhm,
then culturally, Koreans are competitive. They're peer
mhm,
competitive.
mhm.
So if you have a successful business, nah, bitch, I got you. I'm gonna show you how successful my business is going to be. So they're
Mhm.
very competitive. So for manufacturers, no imported hair. Everything has to come from Korea. It's a true export business. And that's
Wow.
50, 60 years later, here we are. We didn't even know we got hoodwinked.
Yeah, nah, that slipped right up under.
None of us knew that. None of us had a clue. And this is a
Mhm,
sustainable business. Hair
mhm.
care industry, especially for black folks, is a $1 billion industry. I love a good wig. I'm gonna get a good wig. I'm gonna try some stuff out. But you know that a lot of these shops are Korean owned because they
Mhm,
corner the market. So as black people are now aware of the foundation of wigs and extensions and hair pieces from the import part. I mean, black folks have been wearing wigs since Africa. They were invented in
mhm,
Africa. But this
mhm,
particular market was cornered by the Koreans in the 50s. So
mhm,
once people figured out the formula and they were able to develop relationships with distributors.
mhm,
Now we have the black beauty supplies, and we have things that are more catered to us in a way
mhm.
that, yes, I put this wig on my head, and let me tell you how it felt to me. Let me tell you, after 2 weeks, the back got real ratty, and I threw it away, or I was able to take it and these are real tools. Take it
Mhm.
and boil the wig and put some fabric softener in there and roll it up and it pop back to life. You're not
Alright,
having
run
your
run 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 that one run
baby.
that one back again.
So if
Pretty
you wear
please.
synthetic wigs, they have changed a lot over time. The fibers to make the synthetic wigs are a lot higher quality than they have been over the past few years. If you
Mhm,
wear a lot of wigs and hair pieces and extensions, you learn how to properly care for them.
mhm,
And you start to figure it out. And black folks, by every definition, are intelligent, and we can find the best way to make something last. So if you start to pay attention to the type of hair and the fibers, and you know what works and what doesn't work, then you start experimenting. No one conducts an experiment better than a black woman. So
hello.
one of the ways, if you wear synthetic wigs and you want to make them last longer, you have to come up with a hair care routine. So when I started wearing wigs, I would wash them in cold water with conditioner only and let it air dry
Mhm,
because hot water would activate the fiber.
mhm.
So as qualities have changed over time, folks will boil the wigs, put fabric softener in the water, and it'll bring that thing right back to life. Baby, the girls on TikTok, they
Wow.
will give you look, if you ever needed a chemistry lesson that you could use in your life, take your ass on Black
TikTok.
Girl TikTok. Black Girl TikTok. They're philosophers, they're chemists, they're biologists, they're financial advisors, they're choreographers, They're chefs, tailors. Baby, I learned so much on Black TikTok, Black girl TikTok. I can't even sleep at that. I'm like, shit, I didn't know how to do that. Let me get up and find. I didn't know.
Oh, they got the cheat codes. They got the cheat codes.
They got the cheat code on everything. And here I am thinking my educated self, I know how to do it. I got this together.
That's the beauty of Black people, Black women, is that, you know, we are so creative. Yes. We're so inventive. We're like, if it doesn't exist, then I guess just have to make it. And Malone was kind of like an innovator on the mid-level marketing game, you know, like
she had that MLM strong.
Yeah, she had that MLM strong. Like I read that she had about 70,000 women or people that were selling for her across the world, in the US and South Africa, and I think some parts of Asia. She filed a patent for the hot comb, even though the hot comb was invented in France, I think. But the lines or the spacing in between the hot combs for black hair, she patented that. She was a real boss bitch.
Nobody understands a hypothesis better than a Black person. Nobody. Because if you're trying to make 2 + 2 = 4, nobody does it better. I'm telling you, nobody.
We're going to make it work. We're going to make it work. We'll have 2 sticks and turn that brother out.
I watch these girls make wigs. My daughter just made a wig. And she was so happy when she got the box. She was like, Mom, the wig cap already has combs in it. Because I have an affinity for wigs that have combs. Because if I'm, you know,
moving,
I need a comb.
You want that sucker to stay in there.
I need some security. I need to hold on to God's unchanging hand with my wig. And I watched her make this wig. And I'm just looking at her. And all she did was get on Black Girl TikTok. She watched another Black girl make it. Now, the video is only 6 minutes long or 3 minutes long. She watched that video over and over again. And she wrote some notes. And she sat there and made a wig. I said, did you make your mama a wig? No, I don't have enough hair. Well, you need to give Mama a card. Because Mama wants wigs.
Go ahead.
We can cut out the middleman.
No, seriously. Like, talk about it. I think that's like a big thing in cutting out the middleman. And it's like, no shade to the Asian community. But it's like, I don't see any other like race that is dominant in an industry for another race like that, you know, like the way that is outside of white people, of course.
Absolutely.
But Black hair, for the fact that like Black people don't have really any market space in Black hair is crazy. And it's weird. Crazy. It's weird. Know, like, and it's really nice to see Black women getting into it. And it's one of those things that, and that speaks to America, is that it shouldn't be hard for Black people, specifically Black women, to get into the Black hair game. And yet it's almost impossible. One of my girlfriends, she was a hairstylist. She had a shop in, I want to say either Montebello or Alhambra, California, you know, that kind of, that part of, outside of East LA.
That weird
part that I don't go to if I have to.
Like this. We go like
me
this.
Getting my hair. Exactly. Like, okay. But at least it's not IE, I guess. All shade. Catch all that. Get all that. But so my girl, she had her shop there and she bought the spot right next to it, and she was gonna put a hair, like a beauty supply store in there. But she was having issues getting hair because now I guess China has the lock on the market, and you have to like be a part of these certain groups in order to get access to buy hair. And I'm like, yo, that shit is crazy. Like, it really is set up to make it almost impossible for people like us to get in it, like it's wild.
It's wild. Two things. One, think about movies of the 80s, early 90s, and present. If there is a
Mhm.
movie where it's centered around Black hair, perhaps folks work in a salon, there's always one woman in there who has a formula for a conditioner or hair treatment or something. So I like to remember that, because
Mhm.
that is a part of who we are. No one can take care of our hair better than we can. It's just unfortunate that, the market was cornered at a time where we didn't have the ability to travel and to work as a co-op, to
Mhm.
band together to get certain things in place. And that's how they were able, and I hate to use this term, but I'm gonna use it anyway. That is how a lot of Koreans were able to establish that generational wealth for their families.
Yeah.
And you can't knock the hustle on that.
You can't at all.
You
And
can't knock the
it's like
hustle.
it's one of those things that you see and you're like, this is what community
That
is.
is what
And that's the thing that was like not ripped away, but the idea that we have to like build now as Black people,
Mhm.
because other communities, Latino community, Asian community, South Asian community, they don't play. They
Right.
stay and look out for their own. Jewish community looks
Mhm.
out for their own. You know what I'm saying? And the Black community, it's almost like if we look out for our own, that's something that
Yep.
we're punished for or vilified
Mhm.
for. Like, well, how come it's Black? How come you can't let, like we let y'all in everything? And
Yep.
then when we want to get into a game for things that are specific to us, y'all, there are roadblocks, and then we're giving excuses as to why it is the way it is,
Mhm.
and it's like there has to be a level of acknowledgement, I think. And I think that's coming with the younger generations,
Mhm.
not the older generations of like Asian community, but the younger ones are starting to kind of like see and understand those roadblocks that
Mhm.
were placed. And it's my hope that they're working on not carrying over their parents' transgressions
Mhm.
in either blocking out Black
Mhm.
business or
Mhm.
stereotyping Black business or things like that, because it's still hard as a Black person to go into a beauty supply store and you don't see people that look like you,
Yep.
but I'm buying for Black hair. Like even when I'm asking them for certain products, I know you're not using these products,
Right.
so you
You
may
have
be going
no
based
idea.
off of, yeah, you have no idea at all. Like, so you may be going off of what your other Black clientele is saying. However, you don't have Black hair. So for me to come in, like, I have to drive far to find a
Mhm.
Black person to talk to
Mhm.
about my hair,
Mhm.
because there are no Black people that own the beauty shops for
Mhm.
it's like how is that that's just it's just
Yeah, it's
it's
mind blowing.
baffling. It's like those are real questions and concerns that
Mhm.
Black women have going into these spaces. It's fair to have,
Mhm.
like it's not trying to belittle, like, get your money, fam. I
Mhm.
don't knock that at all. But as a Black person and a Black woman, we have to speak honestly in saying that, the reason why we're in there is because we don't really have other options to go
Mhm.
to, or we have to go far for a Black owned, or,
Mhm.
online and all that type of stuff. And, I know that it's growing. But yeah, it's a reality for us that unfortunately is one of those things that just Black women are supposed to get over, like, well, whatever, get your stuff, shut up, go on about your
Right.
business. This is the way it is. And it's like, yeah, this is the way it is. And this is why I'm bothered, as a
Mhm.
Black woman who is almost 40, and to just now start seeing Black owned beauty supply stores, like to be conditioned into this space that Black beauty supplies are owned by Asians, because Sally is not at least the
And
Sally's
Sally,
I've seen.
Sally's can't do nothing for me but give me some damn nail
Nothing.
polish.
Nothing at all. At all.
That
I laugh
military
every time I go
discount,
in there.
I mean, Sally's can't do nothing for me. Now, one thing I will say that I appreciate about Sally's is that the folks there are familiar, firsthand familiarity with the products because they typically use them. But Sally's can't do nothing for me. I think that it's okay to do business with other people. Respect the business.
Yeah, exactly. You know, respect the business, respect the customers.
Yeah. So I'm happy to see that, you know, Black women are taking, you know, this industry. If you know of some more places that are Black owned, please share.
Absolutely. And it's like, you know, when I am on Instagram, you know, there's like every IG model that's like selling hair or something like that. And I know people are like, oh, here's another one selling hair. But like, in looking at it, I'm like, good, you know, like we need to, even if they're getting it from China, they're getting it for whatever, we need to support these Black businesses that are engaging in that so that we can show that we are supporting an industry that we directly, you know, impact and benefit from, like the hair industry. Black women, Black men are always going to need a beauty supply store. Period. We're always going to need product because our hair is so fascinating. We can do so much stuff with our hair that we're always going to need it. So if there's an opportunity, regardless of what it is, to support a Black business that's doing it, we just need to go ahead and do it, you know? And I think it starts with even being educated. That's why I was happy to bring up Annie Malone and being educated that there wasn't just one, you know, like they always love to sell us the one, you know, there was like one Black person that did this. There's only like, we can only have one Black person that does X, Y, and Z. And I think it's important for us to know how many Black people were in the invention of Black hair products, you know, the Black hair industry that we have no leverage over anymore. The industry only exists because of us, because of Black hair, because of the Annie Malones, because of the Madam C.J. Walkers. Like, I read that they were using bacon fat to straighten, Black women were using bacon fat in 1890s to straighten our hair. You know, the fact that conch is the conch because, you know, we were trying to create something to straighten our hair. And, you know, we are the market. So the fact that we are the market and don't have any power or leverage in that market, share units. And I just want to be very clear. I'm not shitting on the Asian community. I'm not shitting on Koreans. I'm not shitting on nobody. I'm just pointing out facts. And the facts are that Asians control the beauty industry for Black hair. And that's a problem. And I don't feel bad about saying that at all.
Yeah. And it's a problem if you don't do the inclusion work. That is the problem when you don't respect that we put so much into this industry. Now, when this thing started in the 50s, it was solely focused on wigs, hair pieces, and extensions. It gradually grew into a full service beauty supply because folks recognized that, you know, the Annie Malones were gone. You know, they had passed on, and the Madam C.J. Walkers were passed on, but they had a sustainable business model. And they had products that people would buy. It's very easy for me to buy shampoo, conditioner, and some type of moisturizing pomade for $15 than to pay $30, $40, $60, $100, $200 or more for a wig. And it's easy. I got some fabric softener. I got some pops. I got some hot water.
You know, I'm definitely going to need a tutorial, like a video step-by-step guide, because I swear you're going to have me in the kitchen with the whole finger.
Baby. You know, the hair care industry within itself is $1 million entity. The aesthetic pieces, such as, you know, the wigs, the extensions, the hair for braids, that too is its own industry. The other thing that beauty supplies provide that a lot of people, you know, it's a hit or miss, that fashion piece. You know, all the knockoffs. Remember when
I got these shoes.
You know what? I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Where can you go to get a good fake Louis bag? Where are you going to get some bamboo? Where you going to get some? Let me tell you something. You know, I consider myself, I'm going to use a Kelvin Samuels term. I consider myself a high dollar woman until it comes to them beauty supply store earrings. I can't live without them. I need the 5-pack for $1. I want to walk out there with $30 worth of earrings. I know they're not going to last, but I need you to understand. I like hoops. I'm from LA. I want a big hoop. I want some bamboos. And if I get to carrying on, you know, sometimes I pull my wigs off and sometimes I lose an earring. I don't want to be hurt over that earring.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose the wig. I'm going to lose the earring.
I'm going to lose the earring first.
I'm going to lose the earring. I love the beauty supply jewelry. Just the earrings. They do something to me all the time.
Same. I'm with you on that. Like,
but
that's
you know,
every time you go, I got to get it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's a full service cosmetic store where you find the things that make you feel good. And whoever decided, you know what, we need to expand and add these things in, that person was a genius. You thought the 4 men that went to the government were smart. No, the person that said, let's add these products in.
Yeah.
Chef's
yeah, as soon as they add that lip gloss too, it's
look, I keep about 5 to 10 of those little cheap lip glosses because I sleep with my mouth open. I got to have my lip gloss by the bed because wake up in the morning, it'd be a problem. So for me, and then I have like nice stuff too. But everyday convenient go-to. High-low. What E40 say? Sometimes I dress high class, sometimes I dress bummy. Sometimes it's like that. I got to have my in-between product, you know? That's us.
An E40 quote is a perfect way to end this discussion. 40 water. You know, that's we some Cali girls straight up all day. LA, baby, LA.
Everybody, everywhere else is just USA. You know how in the Fingerhut books it used to say anywhere USA? That's everywhere other than LA. We don't really care about y'all. We appreciate your hospitality when you invite us in, but we don't fuck with y'all like that. I need y'all to understand.
we out. Well, thank you so much, Jay, for coming back. I'm always enjoy hollering at you. I can't wait to have you back again. Please check her out at Weekend Coffee Guh. Gotta get that guh. Okay. I'm Swan. This is Black Like Vanilla. Check us out, www.blacklikevanilla.com. Peace.